That helped you learn a bit about all of our hometown heroes. I'd like all four of them to join me on the stage right now. Give it another round. So what we're going to do here, this is going to be a conversation. I will have some questions I'd like to pose to some of you, all of you, but if at any point something strikes you, feel free to jump in, because I prefer this to be a conversation among you four. I'm just here to keep it on the rails, right? First, what did you feel when you were named a hometown hero?
I'll jump in. Well, when I first got the call, I thought it was a prank call. I looked at the phone and I'm like, what is this, a California number call? I thought it was a solicitor call. I was about to press in, I just ignored it. But something in me just told me just pick up the phone and answer. And when I picked it up, I answered. And, they were like, is this Muhammad? Touch outreach? I'm like, yeah, who's this? So I had to make sure it wasn't a solicitor or somebody saying I owe the money first, right? So to say the least, when I realized that it was a real call, I had to pull over, I was driving, but I was, safe, I wasn't, hands-free, so I pulled over and I was just like, is this real? But I instantly thought about my mom, I know that call was meant for me, but she's truly my hero. She's been doing this work for a very long time, and she never got acknowledged. So she gave me the motivation, inspiration, and drive to do this work each and every day. She's been retired for a while, but she's half disabled. She had knee surgery, but she rolls around on a scooter now and continues to do the work that I do right now. It's like we're in competition now doing this work. And she tells me, since I started, since the George Floyd murder, she knew I was out there every single day. So she texted me every single minute and called every single hour just to make sure that I was safe, because she knew what we were against out there. But I just didn't want to give up on my community, and I didn't want to let her down, or even my grandmother. She is my true hero, and I just want to share this time, with her. It was really surreal. Again, the feeling that I felt, and I felt honored. That was a feeling that I never felt before. All the hard work that she's done and I'm doing, because I'm doing this through her. So the feeling is still surreal just to be, in front of all you guys and be acknowledged for the work that I'm doing. It's like a dream come true. I never thought of this day, because a lot of the work that we do is done in the dark. So now I'm proud to be able to be in the light and talk about the work that I'm doing and be appreciative of the work that I'm doing, because I'm finally being acknowledged for it. Because there's a lot of us that don't get acknowledged for the work that we are doing in these communities, because sometimes our community does feel left out. So now bringing back that hope, in the community that, anything is possible. So I appreciate, Major League Soccer and Black Players for Change for this opportunity. I'm gonna share this with the world, not just the community, but the world, to let them know that anything is possible and never give up. So, but that feeling is unexplainable. I'll say that. Thank you.
That was a beautiful story. I don't want this to be emotional, but I think everyone has a mom. And my mom is watching me too, and I think how it feels, it took Happy 40 years to be here today, so I'm very emotional. It feels honored, and I'm grateful for recognizing our organization and other heroes together. It feels inclusive. And I came here 20 years ago to finding a new home, and I feel like I'm grounded. But again, going back to the recognition and celebration, this is the work that goes beyond, our work. It's our entire team at CAPI that, went back and forth. And I just want to say that today, because now I have the opportunity, is during the pandemic, I'm sure everybody witnessed our staff were out in the community, even though it was so dangerous. So they are the real life heroes, and I feel like I'm a part of it, but I'm really honored my team is here and being recognized, and it's a great celebration for our 40th year in the community, and we want to make sure we celebrate with other communities too and hear those great stories. So I just want to say thank you so much for having us here.
Yeah, I'd like to say if I'm being, overwhelmed even as I speak now, what is this thing? And the fact that it involves the stage that it provides. This is a national stage. And I think it's an encouragement to other organizations, other people, actually everybody, we see things as a national stage, but really looking at the condition of this world, it's a worldwide stage, and it's a level of involvement which is new and exciting. I think there have been many people that have contributed to the efforts that we all engage in from the property communities, whatever. But this is a national stage, and I think it's really appropriate at this time in the world when we look at, it's been a sick world. We've had COVID, we got COVID, we got the pox, we got all of these things. We're tired, and it's a breath that comes to unite us. And I think that all the people on the stage, and certainly Walker West has for years, it's about bringing sanity to a world. It's about bringing out what we do best. And I am so happy that the Black players have been involved in coming out kind of into the community and providing this stage for us. It's gratifying, and we just thank you for that.
Well, I guess I'll go next. I'm Marissa, and as I'm listening to everybody else talk, all I could think about is I felt humbled and I felt honored. And I felt humbled because this work isn't just me, right? It's an organization of people who are dedicated to community, who are underpaid, overworked, all of the things. Our building's falling apart around us, right? I know I'm not the only one. But our people show up every day for community, and we show up, we have people dying outside of our building. It's a common occurrence. And I think about a state that has a $10 billion surplus this year, and I think about people dying outside of our building. And I think about excess, I think about hoarding of wealth, which has happened to my people since contact, where wealth was hoarded and we were prevented from getting rations and we were dying. That's how Minnesota became a state. And so a lot of the historical disparities that happen in our community, right? And we align with the Black community in many ways, with maternal mortality rates being the highest in the country. And I look at a country that was built off of stolen land and stolen labor. And until we reconcile that as a people, and until we can have these conversations, I don't see equity happening. And we can talk about equity, we can throw that word around all we want, but if the majority of the people are experiencing a disparity, the majority of the money should go to the people that are experiencing the disparity. I also think about the root cause. Our people are not naturally degenerate. We're not naturally prone to all of these health illnesses. It comes from racism. The racism we exist every day, the stress that I see. I had a VP carjacked at gunpoint Tuesday night after leaving a program that we had at our agency. And the carjackers were sweet little men. They were great young men, and she even says that. They weren't horrible people. We have some issues that systemically need to be addressed. And platforms like this are very important. I'm so thankful that our organization even came to the spotlight because we are often behind the scenes. Native people are 1% to 2% of the population here, but we are the top of almost all of the disparities. So I say that to say that our people are not deficient. We have thriving, amazing communities. We had governance, we had education, we had all of those systems in place. And that was removed from us through generations of federal Indian policy. Strategic policy meant to dismantle us and who we are as a people. And we're recovering from that. Many of the words are historical trauma or generational trauma that lives through us. And we aren't alone. We know there's many other communities that have gone through the same types of violence. Because when it affects our bodies and it affects the way that our health and the way I have a grandson now, and our people think 7 generations ahead, and it is my responsibility to make sure that he has a different life, that his life is better than mine, that my children's life is better than mine, and the children that are coming that aren't even here yet, that are still in the spirit world, that this world is a better place for them. And so I have to say these tough things, and I have to say these tough things publicly, because if I don't, there will be no transformation. It'll be talk, and that's it. And we've been going through this for over 300 years. So it's time we really get real as a country. We have these tough conversations, we shed those tears, and we figure it out, because we have babies to come that need a better life. Thank you.
I appreciate that from all four of you. Because when we start to talk about the types of things that we want to address within the communities that we serve, a lot of this is predicated on the trust that you all have built with the people that you interact with on a day-to-day basis. Like, for instance, myself, I would have been a student at Walker West had I grown up here. To have someone who looks like you, looking out for you in the ways that you really need to be looked out for, makes a difference. And this is the topic I kind of want to put to you all. The first time I had a black instructor in anything outside of my immediate home was at a music academy. It did not happen in my formal education until I was in graduate school. So I want you all to talk about this. Talk about the trust that you develop with your communities. Talk about what that means, how it empowers you to do the work that you are so passionate about, and why that is so important.
Well, the trust that's all we have. The trust is the foundation. You gotta have a strong foundation to build, because if you don't, you just, wasting your time. I'm gonna start back from when I first started doing it. There's a few people in here that have been knowing me since I was a little kid. Eric and Mom, Sarah, the school. I get emotional sometimes just talking about this because of the things that I've been through, coming up as a young black man in a city that had racism that was existing. So me, I had to learn to, trust people, So what I did was, I myself started building relationships. I wanted people to trust me. Don't worry about the process of things, trust me. So when I started building relationships with people individually, a lot of them just got to saying, I don't know what it is about you, but I like you and I trust you. It might be that smile. You got to smile at everybody you trust, right? So what I did was the smile got me inside of a lot of doors that, I started to, help open in our community, and it was building that trust. I have a great relationship with, partner with the that runs a neighborhood organization, it was the trust that led us to do great work together. Because our work was very different. I came in under public safety. She was feeding the homeless and doing food sheltering and things of that nature. So it was like, well, what your work got to do with mine? I said, well, let's trust each other and work with each other to build off that, to see what impact we can make. So the impact became greater once we built that trust and that relationship that we had and started serving many, many, many people in the city of Minneapolis. And, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but I do a Stop the Violence community cookout once a year in South Minneapolis at PB Field Park. PB Field Park is one of the, roughest, if not far, the most crime area park in the city of Minneapolis, they say. And they're always like, why would you want to do it there? I said, because the community trusts me. And they are sure, and I trust that nothing is going to happen there on that very day. Last year was the first annual. I had just over 2,000 people show up without a single incident happening in this area where they said, it's going to be problematic. This year, I just had it on the 28th, which was Thursday, over 6,000 people showed up without a single incident. You talking about trust? A lot of people showed up, and what someone told me, it just, I talked to a few people here and just shared with them. There was an older guy there, about 78 years old, and he was just having fun dancing, and he saw me and he said, hey, young man, this your event? I said, yeah. He said, come here. He said, look around. I looked around. He said, what you see? I said, man, I see a lot of people enjoying themselves. He said, no, this is God. So that just stuck with me right now to this day. That just hit me, and this was like, I was saying, wow, because I never looked at it like that. And here it is, someone of that age saying that he trusts to come out there to even show up at an event like that in that problematic of an area, he trusted that he was going to be safe. He said, because I'm too old to be dodging bullets. But he showed up and he said he trusted nothing was going to happen. So that's what, if that ain't trust, I don't know what it is. 6,000 people show up at the event, from different cultures, different nations. Some people say that's like a United Nation because I had every nationality of food. So I wanted every culture to represent their people through food. So all the people, so nobody felt left out. So those are some of the strategies and things that I use to help bring people together, to be able to build their trust. To show that we can do this if we stick together, but we have to trust each other. We have to build on that. So that's what the importance of trust is. You get the results when you have that trust there, especially with the community. The community gonna show up. So anything I do, guess what? They're gonna show up. So they telling me to start campaigning now. But yeah, that's the importance of having trust in the community. Yeah, and the impact.
Yeah, part of the question, you talked about the importance of seeing yourself. And I think that that's one of the things that I take a lot of pride in at Walker West, the fact that we started it, kind of based on the call of our talent. I'd say from a source certainly outside me, maybe more in touch with the Reverend Carl Walker, who was not a minister at the time, that we came together to do this. And the importance of it and the way we have had the success. I always say that we have success because if we are owned by the community. And from the time that we started in the community to our move in the community, when we found, we figured, well, maybe we'll, make a little money, kind of doing these lessons. And when we found out it was too late for that, we had moved to our first major site on Selby Avenue. And, so so we've grown and we've enjoyed success, and we've enjoyed success because of the community participation. And when they come in, it's important for me, this is our academy, this is our, and when I say our, I mean the community's academy, and this is the way, this is, you know, where we are the community. We are made, you know, by the community, and so when others, the fact that many others have been drawn from the greater community, I'll put it that way rather than saying outside, from outside the community, but it's been a great, the fact that people come from far and wide to the community, and the fact that our, you know, people, it's not like the public schools, people are drawn to the community and pass a lot of places to come to Walker West. And when they come to Walker West, they're going to see and they're going to experience the Black culture. That's what we do, and we recognize that, you know, our African American culture, it does not come from a single source, and so it's blended. And you know, I'll just say that there are many stories I could tell, but this is just one. We've always had you know, a mixed student base, and so when a mother came to have her son take lessons, and you know, all of our African American teachers were full, and so we lined this student up with the late Brad Martin, and so the mother was insistent on having an African American teacher. You know, that's why I brought him here, because I wanted to have an African American teacher, and you know, we told her that, you know, Brad is who we hired, you know, so as kind of it's important for those in non-traditional settings to come in and find our traditional setting, which is to see us. You mentioned that you were in college before you had, yeah. I too was in college before I ever had a teacher that looked like me. It was a Black Studies situation. And at the culmination of the class, there were reviews. And so some of the white students were saying, well, when you would address issues, they were saying to the teacher, when you addressed issues, you would say, our forefathers. And they would say, and that felt so strange because you were talking about Black people when you said our forefathers. And I thought, how many times have I sat in class and had them talk about our forefathers, you know? So I think as we approach this notion of equity, there's something bigger, there's something new in the air. There is a demand that people are recognizing. We've got no choice but to get along together. We've got no choice but to respect each other. We're at that place where if, you know, we don't, it's very, you know, I mean, disease, famine, war, insanity, and looking at what people on the larger spectrum have. So, you know, I think that's where we're at, and I think that what choices do we have? Yeah, we can make them. What kind of a world do we want to see? And I think this is a new time. I think this is a great time to be alive. Not for what's happening, but for the challenge that is in front of us. Where the problem is, I think the solution is. And we you know, there are folks who see this as, you know, this is hard times. And there's folks for whom we know hard times. We know hard times. This is not hard times. This is a time for great opportunity. And it's time for us to do what we need to do to wake up the people. And this national stage, I am just so happy. I have to say that soccer is new to me. I have to say, and I almost feel a little bit guilty about that, you know. When I was a kid, I played baseball and I, you know, chased it. So soccer, you know, I am so happy that you are here for what you can do for the world. And we're just a microcosm of that world. I am excited beyond, you know, like the electricity is coming in.
You know, it's all these great stories I'm hearing too, so I'm honored to be a part of this panel. You know, I came to this country, I just feel like it's important to share 20 years ago. So this is my 21st year in Minnesota. And when I came to the United States with a master's degree, I couldn't find a job. It took me 2 years. And every time I went to apply for a job, I just got like, oh, you know, first a woman, a person of color, and then, you know, you are international, you know, you don't have any experience, like, no way. I was traumatized. I felt my whole education was just a wash. And I said, I'll start somewhere. So I went to a retail, and I was a customer service for 1 year. And then I was like, you know, I have to do something more than just doing customer service. But I learned something. In my country, there's no customer service. There's nothing like that concept. So I learned you have to be in a line, and you have to make sure you don't, you know, push people in the line. You have to be courteous. And then that journey started when I felt intimidated working in a workplace in America where I was not treated well, you know, my own workers' rights. And then I used to think about, you know, I'm just from one country as an immigrant, think about other refugees coming here.